This past weekend kicked off the NFL playoffs. We made our predictions. We'll see what we got right and what we got wrong. But there were several games that didn't really surprise anybody, but there were a couple that were very shocking, very surprising. And we're going to start out talking about it. So let's get right into it. We're back again with Shannon from Shenanigans Rips here on YouTube. What's
What's
up,
up,
Shannon?
D?
What'd you think? What'd you think?
Oh man, it was there was some really fun games. There was some very frustrating games, and there were some that I kind of expected.
Yeah, I agree. I think for the most part, who I thought would win, did win. I think I had a couple games that I guessed wrong or predicted wrong. Um, I think the most surprising thing to me was how lopsided the wins were.
Right.
We only had one close game, and I expected it the other way around. I thought they would all be close with maybe one blowout, and the one that I thought would be the blowout ended up being the biggest upset of what I think will be the entire playoffs. So we are going to start out with talking about the Cowboys and the Packers game. So I know this was a big one for you. You picked the Cowboys
I
because
did.
of bear down.
Bear down.
So give us your thoughts. What'd you think of the game?
Well, I honestly thought Cowboys had this easily. I really did. I thought that the Packers didn't have a chance. But then I did forget that the Cowboys are known for losing in the playoffs, and they didn't disappoint on that factor either. So yeah, they've won 4 games in 10 appearances in the playoffs. The Cowboys have.
Crazy stat, crazy stat.
It is, and honestly, I guess I should have thought about that before I went all gung ho bear down. It's crazy because the Packers, they went up big. It was like 41 points in 3 quarters they scored. Uh,
Yeah.
it was insane, and the Cowboys, they tried to come back in the fourth, which is what kind of made it a little bit closer.
Yeah.
But really, that game was not close. It
It
was,
wasn't. No, I mean, going into halftime 27-7, Packers up.
yeah,
That's whenever to me it was like, I pictured everybody, unless you're a Packers fan, everybody being like, what is going on here? Like,
right,
how
right.
is this happening? Like, where the biggest question to me was, where's the Cowboys defense? It's like they didn't play defense at all.
100%.
So
And Aaron Jones just proved that they weren't there to play defense. That dude had like 3 rushing touchdowns. I mean,
yeah,
he dominated. The Packers dominated. As much as I hate saying that,
I know.
they dominated.
Yeah. So to me, it was, I mean, you take a look at the stats. Let me scroll down here a little bit. Ignore the Green Bay side and just look at the Dallas side. You see Dak Prescott threw the ball 60 times, was 41 for 60 with 403 yards and 3 touchdowns. You see that, and you don't think that team lost, right?
Right.
But then you look at the rushing. I mean, they couldn't get it going on the ground. Um, and I don't know if you noticed, but something was off between him and CD Lamb. Like CD Lamb it was like he was questioning what they were doing from the get go.
Yeah.
Like he looked frustrated all game long, and so I was watching that, and I was like, "What's going on? Like something's just not right." I still don't know what it was, but you see again 400 and what I say 406 yards, 403 yards from Dak. And CeeDee Lamb had 9 catches, but he had 17 targets. Like that's a lot of targets that didn't get caught.
They didn't get caught. Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so again, 9 catches, 110 yards. That's a pretty big game for a wide receiver.
Yeah.
But you look at the number of targets he had, and it's like, oh, it could have been way bigger. Could have been way bigger. And then, on top of that, You look at the Packers side of it, looking at all of the stats, they had a very balanced attack, and maybe that's what kept the Cowboys from being able to stop them. As a Chiefs fan, one of the frustrating losses for the Chiefs this year was against the Packers. And, the Packers offense basically just did whatever they wanted against the Chiefs defense, which is one of the best in the league this year. And it was super frustrating, but they just went right into Dallas and did the exact same thing.
Right.
Um, Jordan Love's numbers aren't anywhere close to what Dak's were, but he only missed 5 targets. He was 16 for 21, 272, and 3 touchdowns. So same number of touchdowns, a quarter or a third as many attempts. And where they differed, the two teams differed was like you said, Jones, 21 attempts, 118 yards, 3 touchdowns. That's a big game from Aaron Jones.
That's a big game.
And they had the Cowboys defense guessing the entire time. It was like they had no idea what they were going to do, and that's something the Packers showed that they're really good at, disguising their plays. On top of that, the 2 picks that Dak had were big time interceptions. They
Yeah.
came at big points of the game. They ended up being, really the deciding factor in the game. You take those 2 interceptions away, they probably turn into points, and we're talking about a different ball game. So, um, to me, those were really the biggest things that led to the outcome of the game. But the Packers getting out to that early lead and then just running with it. They never slowed down.
Right.
One thing I wanted to point out: check out the over under up here. Over under was 52. The Packers almost did that themselves.
Right.
But if you took the over, you won big time. I mean, the combined total of 80 points scored in this game is insane. So the outcome, I'm gonna guess nobody predicted. There was probably Packers fans that
I'm
did
sure
that
Packers fans, right?
said the Cowboys were gonna win. So I don't know. There's probably Cowboys fans out there that aren't that surprised that the Cowboys lost, but I don't think anybody in their right mind thought the Packers were going to go to Dallas and pull this one off. So very surprising to me. I know it was surprising to you and
Yeah.
disappointing and
Yep.
frustrating and all those mixed emotions. But let's move on to the next game, which I think maybe somewhat surprised everybody as well, and that's the Eagles going into Tampa and kind of just getting handled. I mean, I made the point in the last one when we made our picks that, could I see the Bucks winning? I could see them winning. I was questioning, how the Eagles were going to do, how Jalen Hurts was going to throw the ball with a bum finger. And he didn't look bad throwing, but I mean, it looked like the Eagles from a couple years ago whenever they just either didn't run the ball or couldn't run the ball. And, that's exactly what happened. Even when they tried, they just couldn't get it going. You can see in the stats there 234 passing yards and only 42 rushing yards on the game. In our predictions, I said that I could see the Buccaneers pulling out an upset. With how the Eagles finished the season, I wouldn't be surprised if the Buccaneers didn't pull up an upset. But I also said, what team from the NFC South deserves to be in the playoffs ever? And the Bucks showed that they may deserve to be there. And this next game may actually be a little closer than people thought if they play the same way that they did against the Eagles. That defense showed up,
Yeah.
shut the Eagles down, and looked very, very impressive, I thought. So what do you think? What are your thoughts from this one?
Well, yeah, I mean, they definitely came out and played like they wanted to win, that's for sure. And Mayfield um, played like a MVP quarterback, man. That dude had 337 yards, 22 of 36, 3 touchdowns. Um, and I mean, this is Baker Mayfield, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
you think that that would have been like, a big name quarterback. Um, and as far as the Eagles go, I mean, I it's tough because, Jalen Hurts, had the bum finger and everything like that, but he still, I mean, he was throwing the ball like crazy, and he didn't have Brown. Brown was out,
That was
but
big. Yep.
Devontae Smith stepped up, and he had 8 receptions for 148 yards. Um,
Yep.
and I mean, he just didn't find the end zone. I mean, they just couldn't score. They definitely were missing AJ Brown, that's for sure. And I just kind of feel like that run game was obsolete. Like you were saying,
Right.
it was just not there.
Yeah,
Uh,
and they've looked good. I mean, early in the season, they weren't the same team that they started this season as.
at the end,
Um,
at the end of the
yeah, at
season,
the
yeah,
end, the whole end of the season and this game. I
yes,
mean, early in the season, I was like, man, DeAndre Swift was a huge pickup for them. That was exactly what they've been missing.
100%,
And you look at this game, and yeah, he had 4 catches for 32 yards. That's not much. But he had 10 rushing attempts and only 34 yards, no touchdowns. Like, running game was non existent.
right?
And so, yeah, I mean, maybe not super surprised that the Bucks upset the Eagles based on how the Eagles finished the season. But to me, I was very surprised that the Buccaneers just blew the Eagles out. This was one of those games I expected to be a close one, and then like it could go either way. I wouldn't be surprised with either team that won. But yeah, for the Eagle or for the Buccaneers to win and win like they did, I thought was very surprising, and I was actually very impressed by the way they played, how well they played.
Yeah,
But
I
yeah,
I
to your
mean,
point, I mean the receivers. I mean, not having AJ Brown was huge, and Julio Jones going out with the concussion was a big blow. It
yeah,
was almost like that took anything they had going, just
right.
like completely out of it.
Yep. I mean, I picked them to
So
win, but I didn't think that it was gonna be a 32-9,
right,
just a butt whooping. I didn't think it was
yeah,
gonna be
yeah.
like that.
So this one, yeah, you picked the Bucks to win, and I picked the Eagles to win. So this was one that we did have different picks on, and your team moved on this one. Let's go to the next game, which I think we also picked differently on.
We did.
You picked the Rams, and I picked the Lions.
I did.
So I thought going into this one that it was going to be a close game, and to me, it ended up being the game of the playoffs. So, what's your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I too thought that it was gonna be a really close game. I just figured that the Rams were gonna win this one. I thought, Stafford was gonna come in and just have a great game, and the Rams were just gonna just roll over Detroit. Stafford did have a huge game. I mean, he was 25 for 36 with 367 yards, 2 touchdowns. Um, and Nakua, he popped off too. He had like 181 yards receiving. They played well, um, but they just couldn't, they couldn't hold off this Detroit team, man. They came in, they knew what they were doing. It was exciting. I mean, it
It
was
was. I mean,
it
that
was
environment, man. I was like, I said it in the OG crew chat. I know a lot of us were watching the game all, kind of chatting while we were watching it. But I said it in there early in the game that it's loud in Detroit.
yeah.
Those fans were pumped to be hosting a playoff game,
Yes, they were.
and it was, I can imagine as a player, that had to get the juices flowing and nothing but help the team out there. So
Yeah,
it was fun, exciting, and yeah,
I mean,
super loud. I was impressed.
it was a it was like a historic win for them, Was it like something
Right.
like 32 years or something like that?
Yeah, it ended the
Um,
longest drought, active playoff win drought. So
yeah,
pretty big stuff.
yep, and,
Right there says it, first playoff win in 32 years.
32 years, there it is, yeah. Man, I mean, people were after the game, people were crying. I mean, it was like, oh, man, it was
It's a big deal.
I'm not even a Lions fan, and I would have loved to be there and
Oh
just
yeah,
soak all that excitement and emotion in. I mean, but like back to the game. I mean, golf. I mean, if you notice, it didn't even seem like he was getting hardly any pressure all night. The
yeah. They handled Aaron Donald. I was
Yeah.
surprised.
Oh, 100%. Their O-line was was just it was awesome. They were doing great. The offense, as far as that goes, man, I mean, you got Montgomery and Gibbs, it's like a two-headed dragon right there.
Oh yeah,
They were just rolling, combined for 82 yards and 2 touchdowns.
yeah,
Not a whole lot of yards, but I mean, when you take in the fact that, um, St. Brown and Laporta each scored a touchdown. I think St. Brown did. Am I wrong?
um,
He had, like, over 100
um,
yards receiving. I thought he scored a touchdown.
no, he didn't have one. Just Laporta.
Just Laporta? Okay.
Yeah,
But, but still, I mean, 110 yards receiving, he was targeted a lot,
yeah,
I mean, they wanted to win this game. Didn't matter. They wanted to win this game, and they did, and it was a great game, man. I really enjoyed that game.
yeah. I think I was impressed by both these teams, especially on defense. It was very, very back and forth the entire time, and I think what maybe pulled it off for the Lions was their ability to run the ball, and the running game made big plays at the times they needed it to. And between those two guys, they're explosive. Both of them are. It's cool to see Montgomery. I know he's probably a guy that you like a lot from his time in
Oh, yeah.
Chicago, but it's cool to see him go up there because he struggled in Chicago. I think everybody saw that he could be a good running back, but just never really got. I don't know if it was that he didn't get it going or he didn't get the chance to get it going. Maybe an offensive scheme type of thing, or they had the cycle of guys. Almost at one time, I think it was like a three-headed monster down there trying to get three different guys the ball at any given time, and he didn't really get the chance to shine in
Right.
Chicago, and so being up in Detroit and kind of being the feature back with a good um, rookie that can split time and split carries with, and just kind of be a two-headed monster they're both very similar style, and when they're both popping off for I don't even know what the per carry yards were, but it seemed like whenever they had a good run, it was an 8 to 12 yard gain, and at the right time when the team needed it. But the defense is the way they were just so quick to the outside. Their sideline to sideline coverage, I thought, was amazing, and it made it a fun game to watch, and just kind of a battle. And it's almost what you'd expect between these two teams. I think I said it in our prediction video last week that that's kind of the games that the Rams have played all season long. They've had to fight for their wins,
Yeah.
and Jared Goff is that game manager type quarterback, and the system he's in helps him a lot, and they've call the right plays, make the right plays at the right time, and he did all that, and you know they fought their way to the win. So it was a fun game, um, and like I said earlier, I expected this one to be close. I expected it to be a good game, and it ended up being a very entertaining game. And you picked the Rams, I picked the Lions, and I squeaked that one out on you.
You did.
So from there, we'll switch over to the AFC side, and we'll talk about the Steelers and Bills game. So I started off last week saying if I was filling out my bracket the way I wanted it to go, it was with the Steelers upsetting the Bills. going on to Baltimore and upsetting the Ravens, which led to the Chiefs winning and taking it from the Steelers pretty easily to get to the Super Bowl. But I thought the Steelers might have a chance at winning this game, and at times during this game they looked like they were in it. But the Bills, like I said last time, they finished the season pretty hot, and they just kept that rolling right into this game. They started out strong and really never let up. But Josh Allen played like Josh Allen, and threw the ball when he needed to, made the big throws, and of course used his legs and got it done on the ground too, like he normally does. And the better team won, that's for sure. And although I wanted the Steelers to win, I did predict that Buffalo would. And there may be people that thought that this one wasn't going to be as close as it was. I don't know that anybody really gave the Steelers a chance, but what did you think?
Well, I mean, if you look at the first quarter, the Bills scored 14 points and the Steelers didn't score. But then after that, it was the same all the way through. So that
Yep.
first quarter really was the deciding factor in this game. And uh, I I seem to feel like I remember there was a lot of fumbles on with the Steelers. I know Fryermuth's that fumbled on the sideline. The Bills recovered it. It was just kind of a bad performance by the Steelers. I didn't think the Steelers were going to win this game. I too picked the Bills, but I thought maybe it would have been a little bit of a closer game. But yeah, I mean, Josh Allen is top 5 quarterback in the National Football League. Uh,
Yeah, I mean, there's no question that he's good. He's kind of a hybrid type quarterback, a mix between Mahomes and Lamar Jackson with a Marcus Allen mentality. Like when he runs, he's faster than you think. That he's way faster than he looks. He kind of has that bulkier, kind of awkward run style like Mahomes in a way, but a little more athletic looking than Mahomes
yeah,
when he runs. And but he's faster, kind of not near as fast as Lamar Jackson, but he does have some speed to him. And then he's not. It's very rare that you're going to see him give it up and slide. And
right.
that's Marcus Allen was known for, was when he got hit, he was going to get 2 to 4 more yards, after that. His
Right.
momentum drove him forward, and that's how Josh Allen runs. He doesn't back down from anything.
Yeah.
And so yeah, like I said, it was just Josh Allen being Josh Allen. He really won that game for him. But you're right, the quick start for the Bills, the early mistakes by the Steelers, that's what led to the
Yeah.
outcome being what it
100%.
was.
Yep. Yeah, yeah, Josh Allen, he broke off for a 52-yard rushing touchdown. I mean, that is amazing.
Yeah,
Uh, yeah, he's quick too. I mean, he's fast, but he's quick. Like he's got these little subtle movements too. If you watch him, um, not like a quick running back, break your ankles type of thing, but he can give a little shimmy
right.
and just
A little
throw the
misdirection, quick misdirection.
yeah, 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 just a little shimmy and just and it, he may get another 5 or 6 more yards off of that, but yeah, good quarterback. It's going to be a good matchup next week.
It is going to be a good one. Yeah, we'll get to that when we make our predictions for the next round. But let's keep her moving and head over to my game. Calling it my game.
Your
The
game.
the Chiefs and the Dolphins. Of course, huge Chiefs fan here, and I see the Chiefs going to and winning the Super Bowl. So every game the rest of the way, you know what my pick's going to be. But I try to keep my fandom out of it as much as possible when it comes to the bracket and breaking down the games and making the picks. But when they're in the playoffs and they're playing well, it's going to be hard not to pick them. But with this
Yeah.
game, going into it, the Dolphins were very beat up. I was surprised by how well the Chiefs offense did with the cold temps. I made the point last week that the weather wasn't going to keep either team out of the end zone. I expected it to be, I may have been one of the only ones to predict a higher scoring game, but I felt like with how banged up the Dolphins defense was, that they were going to have a hard time stopping the Chiefs offense, even if it was more ground than air. And I felt like the only way the Dolphins were going to stay in it was putting points on the board, being that high scoring, high powered offense that they were most of the season. And as well as the Chiefs have played defense this year, there have been games where the defense gave up some plays, gave up some yards, and the defense carried the team most of the season and helped them get a lot of their wins. But there were a few games that it felt like if the defense played a little bit better, then they could have won. And I saw this being one of those games that the defense, helped them barely win. But the defense played great. The offense played better than maybe some expected, but I don't think anybody expected the Dolphins to only score 7 points. I know
Right.
I sure didn't. I had it.
Well,
I'd predicted a game more like a 31-26 type of score, and with the Chiefs kind of squeaking one out. But yeah, I was very surprised. I know Achan has been back. I expected him to be a bigger factor in this game than he was, but he was almost not a factor at all. 6 rushing attempts for 9 yards.
yeah,
It's like, man, they kind of relied on Mostert, but Mostert only had 2 more carries, 8 carries for 33 yards. So,
yeah,
I mean, to me, that's just Chiefs defense shutting it down.
right,
I don't know. On both sides of the ball, the Chiefs just handled business. They took care of it.
yeah.
And of course, that was something I love to see. So,
I'm sure.
I
I'm
would
sure.
say the bigger shock probably for everybody in this game was Rashi Rice, man,
I was gonna
just
say, yeah,
exploding. You talk about a rookie explosion. This is the game that you want it to happen in, and
great
hopefully he
game.
just rides the wave the rest of the way,
Yep.
carry that through the rest of
Great
the
game.
playoffs, and we'll hoist another trophy. What do you
And
think?
also doesn't help that your kicker got you 12 points too. Uh,
Yeah,
he, the only thing that I got written down here was the Dolphins couldn't handle the cold or the heat the Chiefs brought. I
there you
mean,
go. That's a
uh,
good way to put it.
yeah, it was just a odd game for Miami. I really thought that like you said, man, I thought they were going to score a lot more points than they did, and only put up 7.
Shocking.
They definitely didn't get the running game going. They couldn't get the
Yeah,
running game going, and I think that's one thing that really
I,
hurt them.
yeah. I think that made it hard for them to get the passing game going. You know,
100%.
I think they're a team that does kind of set up the pass with the run, and when they couldn't get the running game going, then they had to rely on the pass. And the Chiefs secondary, as young as that Chiefs defense is, their secondary is one of the best, right up there. As a top passing defense in the league. So I mean, between Sneed, Sneed was on Hill all night, and he didn't do much. Let's look at the stats. I mean, 5 catches for 62 yards.
That's
That's not winning Dolphins Tyreek Hill.
no. No, no, no.
And Sneed shut him down, and then you got McDuffie right there. McDuffie doesn't get talked about enough. The best defender in the secondary for the Chiefs.
What did
You never hear
Waddle
his name.
what did Waddle do?
Jalen Waddle had 2 catches, 31 yards.
Yeah,
So
you got to get Hill and Waddle going. You
yeah,
got to get Mostert and A Chain going. I mean, that's the only way you're going to win. And the
yeah.
frustrating thing is, before week 1 started, I picked I picked Miami to go to the Super Bowl, and
Oh yeah.
so when I saw this, I went with Kansas City because I just felt like Miami was not going to come to Kansas City in that freezing temperature and win. I
Right.
unfortunately that's just how that played out. But I did. I picked them to go to the Super Bowl before Week 1, and
Wow.
they looked like it all through the regular season. Man, I
They
was like,
did.
all
Yeah.
right, this is a good pick. This is a good pick. And then now,
Well, I mean, the defense, they just had so many key injuries on defense, and it's hard to win when all of your top starters get hurt. So
yeah,
it was going to happen at some point during the playoffs, and the as mediocre maybe as the Chiefs' offense for what we've been used to, has been all season this season. They're still a tough team to beat. 11-6 on the season. They're a winning team. They know how to win,
yeah,
and especially in the playoffs. And so, all things considered, I mean that I think it held up how I kind of felt like it was going to. That banged up Miami offense or defense was going to have a hard time stopping the Chiefs' offense, and they definitely did. So back to Tyreek Hill real quick. Take a look at his stats. He had 5 catches for 62 yards, but his longest play was 53. So of his 62 yards, 53 of it was in one play. So
wow,
he had 9 yards on the other 4 catches. He was shut down all game
yeah,
except
it
for that
was.
one play. Pretty insane stat there, but I don't know. Maybe not surprising to most people, um, but I, for one, am very happy with that outcome. So let's take a look at the last matchup to talk about from the past weekend. We've got what I thought would be the best game of the playoffs, and it started out as a very entertaining one, and then it just kind of took a turn, and maybe I don't know that anybody expected a blowout, but what do you got for this game?
Well, I picked the Browns, and honestly, I mean, I thought it was going to be a lot closer than it was.
Yeah,
Um, but the Texans, they just went off, man. Stroud just playing like he should be the MVP right now. Uh,
insane.
this rookie coming in, just tearing it up.
He was
Um,
so good.
he went 16 for 21, 274 yards and 3 touchdowns. Man, that's amazing for a rookie to come in a playoff game and
Yeah, I
just
mean
take over and dominate.
yeah, that's amazing completion percentage, the accuracy of his passes, and that's
Exactly.
been the thing that has impressed me most about him all season long. Um, yeah, he is on point, and he puts that ball right where he wants it and right where it needs to be over and over and over.
Yeah,
And it's a really cool thing to see for a rookie quarterback to come in and do that. But yeah, this this next game, I don't know.
I know.
I don't know.
I know. I know. I know. I know.
It's gonna be fun.
I mean, the kid's got like veteran poise out there.
Yeah,
Like he doesn't nothing. It just doesn't bother him, man. He's out there doing his thing, and it's fun to watch.
very fun.
It's fun to watch. I mean, I thought the Flacco magic was gonna carry over, and I thought the Cleveland's D was gonna dominate like they have all year long, and no, they literally they were outplayed and outcoached, and that was the
Yeah.
Texans. That was their game. You know?
Yeah, I mean, Flacco didn't have a bad game. It was just a
No.
couple of interceptions, were costly.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, still 34 for 46 with 307 yards.
Yep.
He was slinging it.
Yep.
It was just that Texans defense, I think, is better than people realize. And again, they're kind of a young defense with a defensive head coach. I don't know. I've been impressed by the Texans all season. Like I said last time, I called them early as kind of a sleeper pick to watch for, and here we are going into the divisional round with a chance to fight for the AFC Championship. So
Yeah.
it's going to be a fun one next week. I know. Another thing I was impressed by was Singletary. Um, I don't know if Damian Pierce has something going on, but I expected him to get more carries. I haven't really like paid attention to the Texans running game that much over this season, but
Yeah.
um, Singletary lit it up. He was making some plays in this game. He had popped off for a 29 yarder, was his big play, and
You look good.
um, scored a touchdown. But yeah, looked very good all season or all game. And you mix that with the phenomenal game that Stroud had, just making plays left and right when he needed to. And sorry, real quick, another one that I forgot to mention in last week's video, making our predictions, was Nico Collins. We
Yeah.
mentioned Tank Dell. He came out of nowhere and you know turned into kind of a big play threat for the Texans, but Nico Collins is a receiver that doesn't get talked about a lot. I don't hear his name a ton, but that dude catches everything. And I mean, the stats showed it in this game: 7 targets, 6 receptions, only 96 yards, which isn't huge. It's not a huge game for a receiver. It's a good game,
It's a good
but
game.
he
Yeah.
did have a touchdown. And but he's been impressive all season too. I mean, he's made some phenomenal plays, some very good catches, some tough catches, and I like him a lot. I like the Texans a lot, and I don't know. I'm kind of on that Texans train right now.
Yeah. I tell you what, man, he spread the ball out like 7 different receivers, um, just finding open guys. I mean, yeah, it's gonna be
You're right.
fun
Yeah, you
next week.
said it. I mean, his poise. He's got that veteran poise. Like he just looks like he doesn't get rattled. I don't know if that's due to playing in a big conference in college.
Sure.
Uh, Ohio State. That may have something to do with it. Just being used to being under that kind of pressure. But I mean, you don't see that a whole lot from a rookie quarterback in their first playoff game, and
Right.
he went out there and impressed big time. So that was a lot of fun to watch. I was kind of surprised for the outcome to be as lopsided as it was, but I did pick the Texans to win this one, and I just didn't expect it to be by so much.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
big win for them. I'm excited for this weekend's games. Let's get into um, our predictions. So we'll start off with yours. Let's
Okay.
go with let's just do it like last time. We've got our first AFC game. The Texans going into Baltimore to play the number 1 seed Baltimore Ravens. Who do you got for this one?
So man, I really want Houston to win this game, but honestly, I don't think it's gonna happen. Uh I think the Ravens are gonna win. Lamar is just too good, and they've got targets, and of course, it doesn't hurt to have former Bear and Pro Bowler Roquan Smith on the team. But I don't know, man. I think the Ravens are going to be too much for Houston this weekend, and I think they're just gonna. I think they're gonna. It's not going to be a butt whooping, but I think it's going to be a decent amount. Um, Victory for the Ravens.
Yeah, I see that. See a lot of picks probably going that way, but um, like I said, I'm on that Texans train. There's a lot of hype around the Ravens, and they've kind of surprised all season until they got to where they were just rolling over teams. Probably a little more than halfway through the season, everybody started kind of jumping on board with them and riding that bandwagon. But Lamar is having kind of a return to his MVP caliber season that he had a couple of years ago, and I think what has helped him, he's still using his leg. I like to call him the running back that plays quarterback.
Yeah,
And he's not always been the best passer, but he's also not always had the best receivers to throw to.
right.
And this year he's got weapons. Mark Andrews went down during the season, and Isaiah Likely has stepped in and been a weapon for him.
Yeah,
And, you pair that with the second coming of OBJ,
right.
who has just been a stud this year.
Yep.
And he's looked amazing. And then, don't forget they just signed Dalvin Cook.
Dalvin
You
Cook,
reminded me of
right.
that last week, and we've yet to see him run the ball for Baltimore. But you add that as another weapon to an already fire offense,
Right,
and
exactly.
they're going to be. You're right. They're going to be hard to stop, but I'm all in on this Texans team, man. This is going to be an upset pick, I know, but for me, I'm going with the Texans. I think they're going to shock the world and pull off the big upset here. This may be the upset of the playoffs, maybe. But
Maybe.
you've got a young coach with a young quarterback and a team that's on fire and a defense that plays very, very well. And who knows? They may come up with the perfect scheme to stop that Lamar Jackson running game. And you take his legs out of the picture and you make them one dimensional. It's a different team. And the Texans, they've got that solid core middle of the defense that I think may be able to do that for them. So we'll see how it goes. It's going to be a fun one for sure, but I'm picking the upset there, and I'm probably going to be wrong,
I like it. I
but
like
I
it,
hope
though.
I'm right. I hope I'm right.
I like it,
So
though.
that takes us to the next AFC matchup, and since we're here on the screen, I'll just go ahead and make my pick.
I think we
We
all know
already
who it
all
is.
we already all know who it's
We
going to
do.
be. It will be a good game. It always is for the last 4 years now between the Bills and the Chiefs.
Well, so I think it's gonna be a close game. Um, I think I mean, it could even come to a shootout, between these 2, like I said, you're talking probably top top 3 quarterbacks in the NFL facing each other again. 3rd time they faced each other, uh, to advance in the playoffs, uh, tied 1 and 1. Um, I think, I don't know, I think the Bills are home, right?
Yeah, it's in
Okay.
Buffalo. Yeah.
So the Bills are home. That might give them a little bit of advantage. But the Chiefs aren't the Steelers, so that it's going to be a totally different ball game.
Right.
Um,
Oh, sorry.
yeah, I mean, unfortunately, and I have to say sorry to you, D'Lo, but I think the Bills are going to pull this one out.
All right. All right. Hey, it's your pick. You don't have to apologize.
Well, I do because it's your team, man. It's your
It's okay.
team.
It's all right. Yeah. So, I mean, to elaborate on my pick a little bit, I guess, rather than just saying I'm a Chiefs fan, so I'm picking the Chiefs. I think it is going to be a very close matchup offensively. Both teams run the ball well with the Bills and James Cook, and the Chiefs with, of course, Pacheco. You know, we all know Josh Allen will tuck it and run whenever he needs to and whenever he wants to, really. And they have some design runs built in for him that work very well.
Yeah.
But Mahomes all season has had to use his legs,
Yeah.
and whenever he has had to, it has worked out well. And so, he also can run the ball. He prefers to pass. He doesn't want to run. But the good thing is he can when he needs to and has to. And, that has worked out well for them, has bailed them out a lot this year. And in the passing game, I feel like the Chiefs, that has really been their struggle all year is to get it going in the passing game. But again, hopefully that big bust out that Rice had this week will carry over to this next weekend, and Kelsey shows up and stops dropping the ball. Like that's just been infectious. It's infected the entire receiving room for the Chiefs, and it's carrying over to the tight end room, and I don't like it.
Well,
But
you know my thoughts on Kelsey.
what's that?
Ever since Taylor
Oh
Swift.
yeah, the Taylor Swift effect.
That's
Yeah,
right.
I'm not buying into that. I'm not buying it. When it's game time, it's go time. So,
It's a real thing, man. It's a
yeah,
real
I'm
thing.
not. I'm ignoring that. But yeah, to me, this game is really going to come down to defense. I think, and the Chiefs' defense is just better. They're just better. So that's why I'm going with the Chiefs.
Well, I'll tell you what, Diggs needs to step up and, have
Again,
a
we said
huge
that
game.
last week. We said that
Yes,
last week, and he was still not there this past
still
weekend.
not there.
Still nothing.
He needs to step up and have a big game. Um, I'm still picking the Bills, but he definitely needs to step up and have a big game, uh, and actually be
He's
present
gonna have
in
to
this
for
game.
this week. Yeah,
Yeah,
for them to have a
100%,
chance, he's going to have to. Yeah,
100%.
yeah. All right. Well, I could talk Chiefs football all day, so let's switch over to the NFC side, and I'll let you start us off since we're on your screen to start. So let's go with the Packers Niners game, and this one we felt like last week was going to be easy, you
Yeah.
know, Cowboys Packers, but to me this one's really a no brainer. I don't care how good the Packers are playing.
There's no way the Packers
Yeah,
can beat the
I mean
49ers.
this one's your pick, but I kind of
Yeah, yeah,
set
yeah.
it up for you there.
Yeah, yeah. There is no way that the Packers are gonna beat the 49ers. I mean, they got just the weapons in San Francisco. You know, Brock Purdy, um, just being like the stud quarterback he is, but then he's got Christian McCaffrey, he's got Ayuk, he's got Debo, he's got George Kittle. Oh, my gosh, man, what
I
else
mean,
do you
those
need?
players will make you a stud. You don't even have to be that good of a
100%.
quarterback. If you can get them the ball, like they're going to do all the work. So, yeah,
And not to mention
for
the
sure.
defense. The defense, San Francisco defense is just phenomenal.
Yeah.
It, yeah, and I said it last time. There's no way that the Packers are bear down, but I really mean it this time, D. I
Yeah.
really mean it this
For
time.
the other reason, because of the team they're playing, not because of the team that they
Correct.
are.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
the other team before week one that I picked to go to the Super Bowl are the 49ers.
The
So
Niners. Yeah.
uh, they're still
So,
in it. So I still
yeah.
have that chance.
Yeah. Yeah. You might have it on the NFC side of that.
Yes.
So yeah, I'm right there with you. To me, the Niners started the season out as the most well-rounded NFC team, and to me, yeah, I mean, they're still in the playoffs now. Who's left? They're the most well-rounded NFC team, and yeah, I'm 100% agree with you. I don't see any way possible the Packers go into San Francisco and take down one of the best teams on offense and one of the best teams on defense.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think they have a shot. As well as they're playing, as big of an upset as they just pulled off last week, I think their season ends in San Francisco. So, not a whole lot to talk about there, really. I mean, the Niners are just too good.
Yep.
So yeah, no shot for the Packers going in to the divisional round.
Nope. Bear
So
down.
next up, yeah, sneak that one in there while there's a chance. Yeah.
Had to.
So yeah, moving on to I mean, divisional round, it's all good teams left, really, and so they're probably all going to be really good matchups, except for maybe that Packers Niners one that may be maybe a little bit of a blowout. We'll see, but um, yeah, this next matchup, while I would have originally before last week, I would have picked whoever won the Eagles Bucks game to go into whoever won the Rams Lions game, and just kind of the Lions Rams winner just kind of run away with it. that Bucks team kind of proved something to me last week. They proved me wrong.
Yeah.
Um, and you know, I can see this one being a little closer than I would have originally anticipated. And uh, you know, the Lions off of that big breaking the losing streak win, and you know, again at home for a second week in a row in the playoffs. That's going to be big for them. You know, as loud as the stadium was last week, fans excited to be back in the playoffs for the first time in a long time. You know, now to have won and moved on to the second round of the playoffs, I think they're going to be even louder. And the Lions are, I think, just a better team than the Bucks. So while the Bucks might put up a fight, I think they're going to have to do a little bit better. Baker had a big game, but I think overall they're going to have to do a little bit better on offense to have a chance in this one. If the same defense shows up against the Lions that showed up against the Eagles, they're going to make it a game. But yeah, I see the Lions moving on in this one to make it a really fun NFC conference matchup between the Lions and the Niners. So that's my pick. I'm going with the Lions. Who you got?
Yeah, so I have to apologize to all of the Detroit fans out there, for, doubting the heart of this team. Man, they have something to prove, and, I don't think a Bucks team that beat um, a downward spiraling Eagles team, um, is gonna go to Detroit and be this team that is just they're driven. They want to win this game. They want to win all the games. They want to win the Super Bowl. You can tell they do. Um, yeah, I don't think that they're going to win. I don't think the Bucks are going to win. I think Detroit's going to go uh, to the next round, and they're going to play the 49ers. Yeah, and I'm rooting for him too. I that to me, the Lions is the exciting team for me. Like Houston is the exciting team for you. I want to
Right.
see these guys succeed. So
Yeah.
that's who I'm going with.
Right on. Yeah, the Lions have been a fun team all season. I think they've surprised everybody with how well they have done overall. And but yeah, you're right. They're playing motivated. They're a motivated team. You know, you can tell that they want it. They're hungry, you know, and that's a dangerous team. You
Yeah,
get a team that's playing well and hungry, and you know it all comes together at the right time. They could go into San Francisco and surprise a lot of people. You know, I know that of course the Niners will be favored to win, I'm sure, but man, the conference championship is kind of built in to be a good matchup. You know, it's
yeah,
the two best teams playing each other to make it to the Super Bowl from the conference. But yeah, it's going to be an exciting week this week to set up a really exciting one next week. And so, yeah, one thing to point out, we're the same on the NFC side. We are complete opposite on the AFC side. We picked the total opposite teams to win. So that'll be fun to talk about next week
yes, it
when we
will.
review the outcomes of the divisional round games and see how it actually went. One of us might be totally right, one of us might be totally wrong, or it might be a mixture of the two. So um, I think we got it right on the NFC side, though. Uh,
Yeah,
but it'll be fun. I can't wait to watch this weekend's games. What are your plans? You gonna just chill and watch it all at home, or
yeah. I'm just me and Emmett. We'll just chill and watch some football, and I'm sure you and I will message back and forth,
oh
and
yeah,
yeah, it just a relaxing weekend.
yeah. This last weekend was fun. So for me, I haven't had the chance to watch really a whole lot of football throughout the season. You know, I've watched some Monday night games here and there. Didn't really watch a whole lot of Thursday night games. Watched every Chiefs game, of course. But yeah, we've actually the last couple of years I've been watching the Chiefs games with my dad. He's come over to the house,
Yeah.
and it's been kind of special thing that we got going a couple seasons ago and have continued. But he's been battling some health issues and hasn't been able to make it over. So me and my son Justice are actually going to go over and watch it with him this
Oh, very
weekend. So
cool.
looking forward to that. And aside from that, it's going to be a lot of fun games to watch. And I had a great time this last weekend, wild card round, watching all 6 games. I look forward to watching all 4 games of this divisional round. And then, of course, coming back and doing this again next week with you and reviewing it all and making our picks to see who goes to the Super Bowl. So
Absolutely.
thanks for joining me again, Shannon. It's always a fun time, and look forward to talking football with you again next week.
Absolutely, man. Thank you.
That's going to do it for this video. So thanks for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed it. Let us know in the comments what your thoughts are and what your picks are. We'd love to hear from you and get some interaction from you, the viewers. So hit that like button. Make sure you're subscribed to my channel and head over to Shenanigans Rips. And that is linked in the title and in the description. Show him some love, like his videos, get subscribed if you're not. And we'll see you next week for another playoff review, reviewing the divisional games and making our picks for the AFC and NFC conference matchups. So we'll see you next time. Until then, have a good one, everybody.